this meeting on September 22nd, 2025, 5:30. This is a finance committee. With me tonight are a lot of people. Jack Dunn, Dr. Herbert, Jim Richards, myself, Jessica Campbell, Kara Meekers, Pam Walsh, Sarah Sadowski. Terrible. This is going to be a long night. Please remind me, love.
Oh, sorry.
Your full name.
Jenny Mosca.
And Jenny, what's your blood type? I'm just joking. Thank you so much. So we do have quite a bit to go over in a short amount of time. So I am going to pass it over to somebody who can hopefully speak words unlike myself. So Jack,
We'll try to go through this fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And see if we can get some either recommendations or either way. You'll see. So they're the members of the committee tonight, and we're just going to go over the history of meetings. We're going to give you a status of 2025, which was done June 30th. What the current status and some impacts for 2026, and then things to think about as we prep for 2027. So at any one time, there's 2-3 budgets that are just circling. Okay. So the history of meetings, this goes back to at least my first year of when we've had these meetings. This is one of the earliest. This is definitely the earliest we've ever finalized, October 8th. We've had some September finance meetings, but never this early because we're usually waiting for the valuation from the city. So, but just to show a history of meetings, this is something we normally do each year. We have a finance committee and then look for recommendations from that finance committee, and then hold a special board meeting, which we post in the Monitor and around town 10 days prior to that meeting. So for 2025, you needed a year-end fund balance of $2.8 million. That is unaudited. They're here this week going through everything. They've been doing stuff since July, but they're actually on site. I put in front of you a sheet that says General Fund 2025 budget to actual, and that shows you at the bottom line is that the 2.8 that you need to carry forward is exactly that. We did use money from your trust funds, which is a significant amount, as you'll see in your trust fund balance. But I also note here, again, they're here for 4 days and then they're remote on Friday. But we've had the same auditor for a number of years. They have just changed their name probably for the last 5 years because that is not an industry that people are going into from what they have told me. And acquisitions and mergers are exciting, I guess. So they're not changing because of anything we're doing. It's just they are changing. We've bid it out. We got 2 firms. We got them and another one backed out 2 years ago, and we kept with them. So we are going to finalize our DOE 25, which was the document you signed the other night. I'll be looking at the draft of that tomorrow, and that reports our financials to the state. That's a state requirement. Typically, it's due September 1st. Many districts file an extension because of, our auditors are just looking at it, so we just want to make sure that our numbers are okay to report that way. So again, in front of you, this shows you what the expenditures, your budget was, and what the year-to-date actual, and how much in encumbrances were left over at the end of the year to pay any leftover bills. So that was good by $2.6 million. And then on the revenue, we had an extra $37,000, which brings you to the 2.6 million. And then we had some carryover money from 23-24 of expenditures that were the encumbrances were not used. And then once you subtract out what we did, money we rolled forward, what we did pay out had the 128, and then there were some prepaid expenses that we had to charge. Net 2.8 million is what the balance is, which is exactly what you need to carry over into 26. Okay, so that's the simple thing. They're working on the details, so you can see like tuition and the high-level salaries, benefits, and the ups and down lines. But they just didn't have that for me because they're finalizing their stuff.
But you said you had to take out of trust funds to get to that 2.8?
Correct. So if you remember when you do your motion in March, we say up to trust fund balances. Yeah.
But
we
where
wound
is
up
it
using-
coming, where's the summary?
Oh, I'll show you.
Oh, okay.
I put it under 2026 because I want you to see the balances, because what you did in 25 and then what you're proposed in 26. Okay? So, I'll get to that at the end of 26, if that's all right. So, we're gonna post a meeting for 10/8, as, that's what's been proposed by the executive committee, as long as we have everybody there. Remember, I have a 10-day notice requirement under your charter, so I'll put it in the paper and everything. So, if you remember, June 25th, you had a meeting where we asked you to make some moves in the special board meeting to account for the electric bus chargers and buying the chargers. So we'll be bringing, that money went in, we're gonna be asking that to come out when we do the finalization. But remember, I need 7 votes to make any changes. And if you do not have 7 votes, then the DRA will take over for any shortages. So if the valuation doesn't come in where you need it to be, doesn't matter, they'll take care of that. If state adequacy doesn't come in where you need it to be, they will automatically increase the tax, because that's what they're looking for. Unless we tell them something else, but I can't, without your votes, there's no appropriation change, so that's what they do, okay? Just as a heads up. So for 2026, the expenses were student services again, all right? The out-of-district transportation, there's about 150,000 invoices from 24-25. They're keeping a running tab that did not get paid. So I'm gonna need money out of a trust fund to take care of that, because that's one shot and that'll go away. So when you see the thing on the 8th or earlier, hence why I recommended you might need a second meeting, and then whatever contracted services we're also seeing. On the facilities, I'm getting a finalization on snow plowing. We may have some issues with that, which we can talk about towards the end of the meeting. And then utilities. I did lock in for 2 years for energy, and that's going down 3 cents a kilowatt from 0.1246 to 0.0941, but that starts in December. And now when you get the bids, I gotta have them by 2 o'clock. If not, you gotta wait the next day for a refresh. Crazy. When I started, 30 days to get the bid back. Now, it's all real time.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, 15 minutes, let me know, otherwise you're done.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then on the transportation, as I mentioned, it's about almost 300,000. We talk about the electric buses. That infrastructure is supposed to start Wednesday, assuming the easement with the utility company is all set to go. I'll know that tomorrow. They'll be prepping it, and then they'll be digging this weekend, and then paving on Monday. So everything will be stubbed up and ready for the electrician to come in. I may wind up getting the electric chargers earlier and the buses earlier than planned. I'm assuming because this money's dried up, that's why they have some chargers in stock. So they're kind of anxious to get them shipped out.
Yeah.
And the buses, they were supposed to start to chassis in October. They've started them already. So instead of October with an expected date arrival of December, could be earlier. So I just want to make sure everything is ready. The electric charger from TELUS has been approved by Thomas, and they tell me it'll be all configured and everything when it gets here from TELUS, was the vendor that we used for this, based on the recommendation. So I hope it works out. I'm not used to the reversal of the charger running the bus with a vehicle instead of the vehicle running the charger, but we'll see. You know, they send you a whole owner's manual and everything. It's almost like you get it under the Christmas tree and you just plug it in and play with it. 120 kW.
We can get a bow if you'd like.
I feel like a mosquito. So, but that's the driver's there. But again, the transportation, I'm not overly concerned because you have money you put away to come back, and that's a one shot. We'll have annual with utilities and stuff, but we'll figure that part out. But when we get into the revenue, notice I have the asterisk next to state adequacy. Also the CTE caps, as districts are capping it because of the downshifting of the money and then paying a percentage. As I mentioned, last year they paid 56% of their 75%. You'll probably see multiple news articles coming out on there because they've been reaching out to Ann and she's been letting them know this is what's happening. I'm waiting for her to give me her updated numbers because for her budget, she went down by 2025 because she was anticipating this, but I'm hoping maybe they'll have come back up because other districts were able to do something, but we'll see. Tuition agreement enrollments, that's with Deerfield, that is down, although it's 2 more than we budgeted, so I'm probably gonna take advantage of that. And we do have 2 tuition agreements, one with a school district and one from private that are sending to, but we've accounted for one of those 2. And then this is more of the accountant types for the GASB 101 of compensated absences that we need to begin tracking. So that'll show up on the financial statement. I should know by the end of the week what that number they've agreed on is.
Are they gonna make us carry like a sick day balance, like what's out there, or just like what we paid in a given year?
They are looking at the liability and what we expect to pay each year.
Yep.
I haven't seen whether that's going to be 2 different lines to see what
Okay.
an annual and then what the long term is.
Yeah.
You know, because like the New Hampshire pension, I think is 44 million, but we have no control over that. So we'll see. And I put revenue for EFAs because of the impact that might have, and because they're going to charter schools or somewhere else. We may see that in the adequacy numbers. And then the last I put other is city valuation. So once they've sent us over the MS1 and we're calculating that, so I don't have a final for you. That's why I suggested there might be another. But if that doesn't come in a state adequacy, they're the 2 I'm concerned about. We need to bring you options, and we don't have those options right now. So that's why we're a little cautious on trying to say, is this absolutely final?
Yeah.
But again, you don't have the 7 votes, those 2 items will kick in regardless.
Yeah.
Okay?
Which means that the state will set a tax rate to cover those expenses, whether we agree or not.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Okay? So going to the trust fund balances, as you can see, there was the balance on 9/5/25. We transferred in that 59,376 in the school building maintenance fund. Remember, that was insurance proceeds from the bus that was totaled, and we're gonna ask you to bring that out. It's not showing here because we haven't proposed it and recommended and the board voted, to come out to pay for the chargers. So we put it out in 25 so we could preserve it for 26. But we did take 379,769.47 out of that building maintenance fund to cover some of those expenses. We took 302,500. That was planned for instructional material, and then 600,000 in dental. We applied a lot of that to people either out or long-term disability. I tried to justify how I use that money because it was health related. And then 350,000 from the VOC the Special Education Trust Fund, not the VOC, I'm just looking at the line wrong. To cover special ed, I probably could have used a lot more out of there because of the overage, but that's what we took and made it work. And then we used 374 out of the Technology Trust Fund. If you remember, I think we budgeted 1.3 million out of that for this year because we had big upgrades. We're not anticipating as much next year. It'll be obviously 6th and 9th because every year is 6th and 9th, but I don't think next year is a big year, so we won't have as much. I hope.
so these were all amounts. Did we go up to everything? We
Yeah.
sort of.
And then we took whatever little we could and tried to justify why we did each one. But you could see, so if you think about that 2.8 million that we wound up, 2,006,869 is one-shot money. If we didn't have that, 2.8, and we only had under 800,000, it's $2 million. Okay? So, and the purpose was when these funds were getting high because of the COVID money and the expenses not being, we put it away. Now we're letting it back out, but we just gotta be careful,
Yeah.
okay? But at least you have it, because if you didn't,
We'd be Merrimack.
I don't know what.
Or Claire.
That's, yeah. So, it's a balancing act, okay? So that's why I see FY '25 out. That's 2 million. That's what was used to mitigate that, okay? For 27, not that we're trying to get this summer, as everybody's schedule is filled up already. Just things to think about as the district. We look at health insurance premiums. So we're gonna know in November, we'll get our GMR, our gross maximum rate. I expect that to be double digits. But you may have, I think the negotiations committee, I sent the article to, and I may have CC'd the whole board on that's everywhere. It is everywhere. You have negotiations with CEA and the tutors this year. That will affect your 27 budget, whatever you do now. CTE, again, the sending district caps, so we're getting ready to upgrade, now that the legislation's passed, the area agreements. So we'll see how that all comes about, but if districts continue to do this because the state's short funding it, we're gonna see what that impact is. Obviously, the special education costs, and again, we'll talk, Charity's here to talk about some of that stuff in non-public. Open enrollment, if the legislation mid-year decides to say, have at it, because their financial note might say, no impact, maybe to them, but we'll see it. There's no doubt we'll see it. And then, obviously, Deerfield. So Deerfield is in year 2 of a 3-year contract. And if you remember, their school board voted, so they can only go 3 years. I anticipate we'll be hearing from them. I don't think they're gonna wait till next year to do it, so
Yep.
this will start to affect, we have to figure out what that is, whether there's an early or, right now they can pick and choose what they want from between 3 schools. And right now we have 23 of their students. We used to run in the 40s.
Yep.
Okay. On the state side, you have HB2, which we handed out this language, sorry. And specifically on the, where is that number? Sorry, I'm looking for the 80%.
It's
It's on
20
26, yeah,
yeah.
25, 26.
On page 78.
Yeah. So if you read that, what's in bold, right now we've been running 65, 67% of our entitlement. This is saying you can't pay less than 80. I don't know how they do it if they don't have enough money. Guess what? If they're gonna say, I'll now say minimum 80, I'll be looking to adjust your 26 revenue to try to mitigate some things we're seeing, based off of this year, because this year it was, I think, 67% we calculated. Okay. So we just show you that language, because that's something else that hopefully, the CTE funding formula, we know they're talking about it. I'm talking with Ann, and there is a group that is studying that to see the change. So we don't know there.
Is that the capital facilities funding formula or the
Tuition formula?
tuition formula? Do
I
we know?
thought you'd said it was tuition.
It's a tuition formula.
Okay.
Right now, they fund transportation out of the formula before they do
Yeah,
tuition.
yeah.
And so that's what they're looking at.
How they break up the same pots.
It's exactly, yeah.
You gotta put a little more money in the pot.
So you got open enrollment legislation, as I mentioned, open enrollment can affect us on our side, but what if they do with that legislation could potentially affect us. And then I mentioned that GASB 101 compensated absences, just why I put that under the state, I don't know. It should be under district, but it could have just been getting wherever.
Do we think they're gonna start looking for us to put money aside for this unfunded liability? Is that why I know we'll have to carry it on our balance sheet, but are they expecting us to sort of start carrying it, money to pay for this unfunded
I have the
liability?
auditors here this week. I know they're gonna tell us everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah.
They'd like to see it. It helps your financials and ratings,
But no one's gonna
they-
do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
nobody's
Okay.
gonna wanna do that, but it's gonna be an eye-opening number on how, some of the, typically people have said they like the government because of more generous benefits, and, now they're accounting for that.
Yep.
Okay. The citywide revaluation is happening, so there's a whole thing on how that is, what neighborhoods they're hitting. I think that's gonna hit this time next year, what that valuation is. And then on the federal side, the Medicaid rules, July 1, 2026 are gonna change. We don't know all that. We have somebody going to a conference to look at that, but one of the things they're talking about is random moment time studies. So,
So it means they'll send us a notice and say, okay, we wanna check XYZ service providers. We'll give you 2 weeks to get their logs and their information. So it's more real time data collection on their part. So it means we need to really, we'll have to be as current as possible, all of that.
And then the grants, I just put a question because, Ellen and I didn't get a chance, but I'm sure she would have had some things to say. She's very conservative and trying to be good in planning, but.
Digging at Sam's grant.
Yeah, SAMHSA, there was an update to that today, right? Or we're waiting on SAMHSA's good now.
No, CHMI.
CHMI,
is
great.
good.
SAMHSA, that we
Yeah.
don't know.
This is-
No, CHMI is the same, under SAMHSA,
SAMHSA.
but we're still waiting on
Yeah.
Project Aware.
Yeah.
right now.
Project Aware is the one we're waiting on.
Yeah.
And then, do they go to a block grant, does that all change? Does it change up at the state level because the federal government, we'll see. So we just bring that to your attention because, I don't know. That's all I had beside a non-public session for the purposes of any special ed questions and what we're seeing.
That's a good question. Jack, can you just talk briefly about how you're preparing for a potential federal government shutdown?
Oh, if we don't get federal reimbursements?
If the federal government shuts down on October 1.
So, I thought the state already had the federal money. We submit through GMS to get it from the state. So I don't think it'll affect us from that standpoint because all our reimbursements, they're the fiduciary.
Okay.
So I don't think it's been a problem yet. Maybe applying for new grants, that might be a different story, but, yeah, I don't think that would affect us.
And food commodities, have they been affected in previous shutdowns?
In the past, no, they have not.
Good.
Because those orders are placed in the beginning of the year and they drop a load on us in the beginning and then it just keeps coming. So, yeah. But if it does, and I'll double check, but it hasn't been brought to my attention that it's affected us. Okay.
All right.
5:54, that's 6 minutes.
I know.
We try.
It's great.
But-
So I need help going to non-public.
Can I make a motion to go into non-public session pursuant to RSA 91-A3B and or C?
Seconded. And this is a roll call, right? So Sarah,
Yes.
Pam,
I'm not on the committee.
okay,
Just hanging out.
Kara,
I say yes.
yes.
Yes. So we're in
So we're in
non-public.
non-public.
Are you planning to come back?
We are not planning on coming back after non-public, so we will let the Concord TV folks go home. Thank you.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.